About ready to start. As a gentle request for anyone who's not presenting, we would ask that cameras be off so that we can keep the focus on our presenters. We would like to say hello and a big welcome to our Day 2 sessions of the 2025 UAGC Culture of Care Summit. I'm Dana Dillard, Program Chair of the Master of Arts and Doctor of Psychology, co-hosting today's session with Dr. Mick Holliday, Program Chair of the Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. We are pleased to welcome you to Purposeful Pathways, Navigating the Journey and Setting Goals in a Culture of Care, a flash presentation by Rebekah Good, Community Manager, and Bill Davis, Program Chair of Bachelor of Arts in Operations Management and Analysis. Let's give a warm welcome in chat to Rebekah and Bill.
Thank you so much, Dana. Good afternoon and evening, everyone. We are so excited to have you here for this session on Purposeful Pathways. Whether you are faculty, students, alumni, or professionals, we all share a common goal to grow, learn, and support one another. And today we're going to explore how setting clear, purposeful goals can help us navigate our journeys with focus and resilience. We'll also discuss how fostering a culture of care can strengthen our motivation and success, both individually and as a community. Leading today's discussion is Bill Davis, an experienced educator and program chair at UAGC. Bill has 20 years in higher education and career experience, mentoring and coaching employees as an executive and manager. Bill is incredibly passionate about goal setting and motivation, and he'll be sharing a practical framework to help us turn our aspirations into actionable outcomes. Bill?
Well, listen, Rebekah, thank you very much. When I found out I had the opportunity to present with you, I didn't just walk into this, I ran into it. And this is going to be very exciting. Today, our goal is to give you some value. You know, some of this stuff you're going to already know, and you will say, okay, some of it is just kind of a review. But if you can look at this kind of as a refresher to say, you know, what could I use here? And hopefully our goal is that you take away one or two nuggets here that you can use, you know, and understand your context even better. We're going to try to make that very clear for you. And then after I'm done presenting and engaging, and feel free to put anything you want to put in the chat, we'll be monitoring it and we can have some discussion with that. But what I'd like to say is that, you know, goals are such an important part of our life. You know, in my prior career at PepsiCo, I was always setting goals, you know, setting goals for the team, you know, setting purposeful goals, you know, to manage ethically, consistently, to be a good example, to role model, lead, lift others. I wanted to be consistent, but also we had sales goals, financial goals, different targets, you know, to optimize promotions that we would come into market with. Well, a lot of that just kind of carried over when I made the transition into higher education. So there's so many similarities. And here, you know, we want to further student success. We want to improve courses, GPAs, help students get to commencement. But one of the things that I embrace the most is my purposeful goal. And when you think about goals, obviously you'll think about SMART goals that are more specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. But when you think about your purpose, I think that's very important to lead with purpose. And what I look at in my career today is to always think about this: empower, enrich, support students, give my very best, and lead them to commencement, graduation, so that they can succeed. But it doesn't end there, because we're also available after that to coach and help and mentor should they need us, you know. But this is all about students today. This is all about goals. This is all about everyone on this team to work together, to collaborate, co-create, make things better, innovate, put forth quality in all we do, and also continue to move forward and help shape this culture. And culture of care is one of my favorites. Now, this is an article. It's on the internet. I've written a lot of short articles like this, 700 to 1,000 words. And this is just talking about expectancy theory, Victor Vroom, where he did his research years ago in industries and companies, and he talks about expectancy, instrumentality, talks about valence, valuing the outcome. And when those factors are high, motivation occurs. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead to the next slide here, and I want to go to some other researchers in the field just to give you the little science-based background on this. Locke and Lanham. As I came through my career, I always understood this dynamic that we had to have some things in front of us that we understood that allowed us to direct attention toward a goal, to mobilize our efforts toward that goal. And then finally, increases persistence and increases performance. And then also too, to facilitate the development of strategies. And let me just explain that a second. For me to remember some of these theories that I learned over the decades, I always developed acronyms. And for Locke and Lanham's theory that they've researched and tested in various scenarios, they just said that it does all these things. But for me to remember this, when I would talk in front of groups of people, I would always remember the acronym AMP, AMP. And back in the day at Pepsi, we had an energy drink called AMP, right? But I said, if you want to remember it, just think of this, right? But I would always keep that AMP in front of people and say it allows us to focus on a goal, mobilizes our efforts and energy toward that goal, and it increases performance because you got a goal, you're working toward it, right? So remember Locke and Lanham. This is just a little nugget for you. And then Victor Vroom, as I started in the other article that was about, was expectancy, instrumentality, and balance. For example, do I expect I can give a good presentation here today with Rebekah? Yes, I do. The answer is yes. Is this instrumental in creating some success? Absolutely. Bill, do you value that outcome? I sure do. And to see people walk away a little bit better, or to have gained a little bit of value and maybe reinforce this in their context, in their world, so that they apply to learning, right? Because it's all about application. And that's basically what I'm doing here, is just talking about EIV, expectancy, instrumentality, and balance. The key is, do you value the outcome? And so when you plug this in, you see the science behind this model. Now, always have your life's a work of art. I would tell folks and my teams, and that, see the visual, see the picture. It all starts with a vision. For example, I visualize this. We're going to have a successful session here. I visualized Rebekah. Oh, she's going to set the tone, which she always does. I visualize Dana and the team really supporting us, right? I see all of this transferring down. Basic stuff, right? But I visualize it. Now, back in my days, in the early days in the beverage industry, I discovered Dennis Waitley. He's a psychologist that used to train Olympic athletes, and he authored The Psychology of Motivation. But he even says Olympic athletes, as they train, they see themselves succeeding. They see themselves winning that race. They've already visualized that, right? They've kind of set that. Then they set their goals to train, right? Then they do the processes, and they get into good habits, right? And all that aligns to those two theories, Locke and Lanham and Victor Vroom, that I showed you in front. But your life is a work of art. Paint your picture. See yourself successful. I believe a lot in positive psychology, and I believe that we have that kind of outlook, and we apply a theory or two to this, we've got more energy. We're more moving towards something. So always remember that. Vision, set your goals, process, and habits. Now, I'm just going to apply this setting goals to what we do here. What I do now as a assistant professor, program chair, we're here to empower, enrich, support, and graduate students to make your learning experience the best possible thing that we could do to give our contribution to you. And here's what I would always tell students. You can start anywhere. When you think about maybe, you stumble, fumble over here, or this didn't go quite well, just get back on the horse and ride the horse and look out there and see that vision, see those goals. And remember, dreams and goals do come true. They just take time and hard work. Now, I heard that from a friend of mine who was the 1983 Chicago White Sox Rookie of the Year, Ron Kittle. And Ron actually had gotten injured, broken his neck in his first game in the minor leagues. And he came back and fought his way back through the minor leagues, and he had that grit. And he ended up getting in the 1983 season, and the Sox darn near won the World Series. But the point is, he gave his best, he persisted, he continued, he saw that vision that he was going to play Major League Baseball, and he said, remember, dreams and goals do come true, they just take time. He told me that when I first met him in 96. We've been friends ever since, but his focus was there. He sees the end, and he values that end, and he was going to work hard. So always remember that, the path to achieve your vision. You see the vision, set goals, process, and habits. And remember, dreams and goals do come true. They just take time and hard work. Now, if time is scientists can't create more of it. They can't invent it. It's there for us, right? So even if you waste a little time today, or you had an off day, or wasn't feeling well, just remember, you got a full 24 hours tomorrow. So plan your work your plan, put it together, get back on the horse, ride that horse, move forward, and stay focused, right? Stay focused on that vision, set your goals, hard work, move forward. But I just wanted to point that out on time that, you're not alone if you didn't quite, it's unforgiving. You can come right back and very forgiving. You can come right back and you got that same time again. So use it right, use it wisely. That's what we're trying to do here. Now, here's a model for you and pretty basic stuff, right? But just a good reminder. And you're going to have an opportunity to present and answer some questions here with Rebekah, because as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to hand it over to her. We'll guide some discussion. But the one thing I would tell everyone, I've coached a lot of people this way, get them to relax, see their vision, see their goals, and tell them, use this 30, 60, 90-day focus that I use. I've used this my whole career. What do I want to see in the next 30 days? In chunks, kind of compartmentalizing. Okay, what do I want to see? Well, I want to have a good session here. I'm just going to use it for me right now. I want to teach a couple courses. I want to help a couple colleagues. I want to mentor 5 students. I want to read a book. I want to do something with my family and friends. I want to keep this whole thing balanced, but I see something. So I set those things as a goal, little bullets. Then I come back and I say, what do I want to see 60 and out, 60 to 90? Well, the reality is, what do I want? I'd like to do 2 more courses. I'd like to do 2 more presentations. I'd like to come back and maybe paint the deck and fix the deck. Maybe I want to come over here and have a couple events here with my neighbors. Maybe I want to call an old friend or 2 and go back and visit. But set those goals, whether they're personal or professional, right? But that's kind of what I see in this next 60. And now 90 and out. Think about this. I'm going to have that, I'm going to apply it to a student. I'm going to have that college degree. I want to get myself in position to attend commencement. I want to make that honors roll. I want to work with my instructor. I want to pay compliments to these people. Whatever that is, you see it. Now, there it is. It's all in front of you. Sketch it out, right? You got your paper. Here's my point. 30 days is up. Go take a look at it. How'd I do in the next 30? Well, you didn't quite get this done. You missed this. That's okay. 60 is still kind of holding true. You're on your way to that. But now, based on what happened in the 30 model, go back and readjust your 60, 90. How many times have we said, I want to have it done by June? And all of a sudden, maybe you become something happened in life. Life happens, right? And all of a sudden, you had 2 months you couldn't work or you couldn't do something. It doesn't mean it's over. Just like I'm going to use Ron Kittle's example, the White Sox. It wasn't over for him. He went back and refocused and reset, and he kept working hard. You see, so adjust that model. Once you get to 30, take a look at it again. Hey, that's on course. Now reset. I'm going to put the 60 into the 90. I'm on my way there. I'm going to reset a new 60. I'm going to keep looking out. Hey, and guess what? In the 90-day model, I discovered how to do podcasts while I was working in that. So I'm going to do 2 of those, and I'm going to put this in. See, that's the way the goal setting works, and it becomes very inspiring, motivating internally. And you got to have fun with it. You got to have energy. You want to be committed. 2 key words: be committed and dedicated. I'm going to succeed. And center yourself around people which share like-minded views and values. They will lift and encourage you, and you will lift and encourage them. So when you're chasing these models, get in the right dynamic and go get it. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to a colleague I respect and admire so much, Rebekah Good.
Thank you so much, Bill. That was incredible. As usual, you are so inspiring to listen to. At this time, we would love to ask the chat just a few questions about setting your purposeful pathways. Sometimes sticking to goals can be challenging for many reasons. We know that. For example, some people might struggle with time management, just like Bill was talking about, while others face motivation dips or unexpected life obstacles. Maybe you've set a goal and lost that momentum halfway through, or maybe you've had to adjust a goal because your circumstances changed. One of the things we would like to ask the chat is, what has been your biggest challenge when setting goals? And while you think about that question, I'd also love to mention that creating a culture of care means more than just setting goals. It's about building a support system where we help each other stay accountable, motivated, and resilient. Research shows that when we share our goals with others, we're more likely to achieve them because we feel a sense of responsibility and encouragement. Think about a time when someone supported your goal. Maybe a professor gave you some helpful feedback, a friend checked in on your progress, or a mentor offered guidance. Those moments make a huge difference in staying on track. So, how can we intentionally create that environment for each other? When we support each other, we make a goal setting feel less isolating and more achievable. So let's brainstorm. I'd love to hear what are some ways we can lift each other up and create a culture of care that can help us succeed. And I see some people in the chat already answering. I love it. Perfect. While you all continue to engage in the chat, I just want to give Bill a huge thank you. Bill is incredible at what he does. He's very inspiring, and this opportunity was so insightful and inspiring for me to be a part of. Before we wrap up, I would love to take a moment to reflect on what we have covered today. We started by exploring the power of goal setting, understanding how clear, purposeful goals can guide us and keep us motivated. Bill walked us through that 30, 60, 90-day framework, showing us how to break our goals into achievable steps. And finally, we discussed how fostering a culture of care, supporting and encouraging each other can make all the difference in staying on track. One of my final thoughts that I would love to mention is remember, goals are not just about reaching that finish line. They're about growth, learning, and the people who help us along the way. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen your resilience, and every success, big or small, is worth celebrating. So as we close, I would love to challenge each of you to take one small but intentional step from today's discussion. Maybe that's setting a new goal, sharing your journey with someone, or simply offering encouragement to a classmate or colleague. Every single action we take to support each other creates a stronger, more connected community. Thank you all so much for being a part of this conversation. Keep pushing forward, setting those goals, and most importantly, keep lifting each other up, and have a wonderful day. And thank you so much, Bill.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And we hope you took away a nugget or two there. This is kind of designed to just say, kind of a little bit of a shot in the arm, pat in the back. We appreciate you. You're doing great work. Keep feeding them positive. The best is yet to come, and you're unstoppable. Just continue to move forward.
And what a fantastic flash presentation. Bill and Rebekah, I invite you to scroll through the chat and see the really fantastic feedback and engagement that was occurring through there. A lot of good comments occurring throughout. Give a chance for any last questions that might be arising. We have a minute or two left if anybody has a question that they would like to ask.
I'd just like to say that I love these flash presentations. You know, we work to be good, brief, and gone, you know, and add a little value.
They are very fun and informative, and gave a lot of opportunity to reflect on goals and goal setting. Dr. Rosser Majors asks, how do you stay so energized?
Well, I'm gonna have a little fun with her because I said this one time in a meeting that we were talking about goals is practice self-care. And usually if I don't have that energy, Michelle, I go to bed early and take a nap or go to bed and come right back tomorrow. But it's so much of this is about mindset. Keep a growth mindset, not a fixed one. You're going to have some days you're tired. Take care of you. You know, if you've got to cut it short, take a nap. Again, like that time thing that I put up earlier. You got tomorrow, another 24 hours. But keep this mental attitude that it's a growth set mindset. And no matter what changes with me, I'm going to navigate it and do it. And I'm going to keep going because persistence, you know, I'm going to believe that. And it's going to build confidence. And Michelle has a ton of confidence. I've seen her in action so many times. And let me just give a shout out to her and Dan Augusto, because that they, along with the team here, the committee, you, Dana included, have done just a tremendous job with this whole entire summit. So thank you.
Well, and with that, what a positive way to end. And self-care is so important. It's such a good message to send out as well to support mindset and growth. I'd like to extend a big thank you to Rebekah and Bill for their time and insights as we conclude Purposeful Pathways, navigating the journey and setting goals in a culture of care. Thank you to all of our viewers for joining us and engaging with the conversation. We hope that you found this conversation inspiring. Please check the chat for the link to the Clifford Blizzard Award if you would like to nominate this flash presentation. We also invite you to check out the Summit website provided in the chat to select your next session. Once again, on behalf of the Department of Behavioral Sciences and the University of Arizona Global Campus, thank you, and please have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.